जितने भी लोग हैं, please, it's a request from my side, go and like the video. This is going to be an amazing video. Awesome. I have created a free course for all of you people, right? Of all my LinkedIn posts. Should I show it? Should I present that course to you? It will be completely free. उसमें कुछ भी कोई कॉस्ट नहीं है, and it's a very well structured course. Amazing. इसके अंदर सारे चैप्टर्स हैं. पहला चैप्टर है स्टार्टिंग आउट एज अ पीएम, सेकंड इज टॉप इनसाइट्स, थर्ड इज करियर्स इन पीएम्स, फोर्थ इज माय पीएम स्टोरीज, राइट? फिफ्थ इज स्टार्टअप एंड लेगेसी कंपनीज, सिक्स्थ इज life lessons. So if you click on starting out as a PM, you'll see bunch of posts, developing first principles, product markets, whatever you want to. अब मान लो आपने किसी पोस्ट पे क्लिक किया, you click here and here you get the description and you also get a link of my post कि मैंने basically क्या पोस्ट लिखी थी. Make sense? Does this make sense to all of you? Is it amazing? And it is completely, आप किसी भी जगह जाओगे, you'll find insane number of posts where you can go through and completely learn. Is this amazing? Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Stop sharing. I'll go back to StreamYard again. ठीक है? I'll just add to the screen. बहुत बढ़िया यार, बहुत बढ़िया. तो ये मैं सबको तभी दूंगा जो लोग फाइट मारेंगे. ये completely free है, लेकिन उन्हीं के लिए है जो फाइट मारेंगे. That's the first announcement. तो यार आज का हमारा लेक्चर बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है. So whenever we start any problem in product management, right, the first thing that we essentially do is to understand the problem space and the solution space, right? Now, how many of you know what's a problem space? Can somebody tell me what's problem space? Problem space basically means where questions like what is the problem, who is your problem segment, who are you solving it for, right, they reside. Solutions don't reside in problem space. Solutions essentially means there is a particular benefit or a particular pain point which essentially has to get solved, that comes out from the solution space, right? So problem space is the place where, for example, the problem resides, right? Like for example, if I tell you build a system, build a tuition class structure for people to effectively have access to secondary education, I don't know the answer, I just know the problem statement. Does that make sense? ठीक है? अब product discovery कहां से आती है? तो basically, if we effectively want to understand the problem space well, we do things like problem discovery or product discovery. Make sense? अब क्या होता है यार? I just want you to first understand what allows a product to survive in a market or a system. ठीक है? तो हमें सबसे पहले सोचना चाहिए कि एक प्रोडक्ट सर्वाइव क्यों करता है. Why does a product survive, right? There are three essential things which I've learned in my experience of the last 9 years. So this entire lecture is going to be a story, right? And we'll run it like a story, right? So the first thing that I realized, that one of the great things about people around me was that I had always had a team who was dedicated to the problem and unfazed by challenges, technical or otherwise, right? So most of the people around me had a very high talent density and they were not really afraid of getting any technical challenge ki yaar ki how will this get solved at 10 million users, how will this get solved at 50 million users. Actually no one was unfazed, and we were very critical about this, that whether in Flipkart, whether in Blackbug, whether in Times Group, whether in Edureka, whether in Baiju, whether in Bhanzu, we always had bunch of people who were unfazed by technical challenges, saying that we don't care, let the problem come, we will understand the problem, and if it has value for the user, we'll figure out a solution. ठीक है? Second, we never spent a lot of money. Most product managers make a lot of mistake. They think कि MVP के time पे ही अगर मैं बहुत पैसा लगा दूंगा तो शायद I will be able to build a great product. We never did that. So I'll give you a very good example. So basically when Groupon started, right? So most of the Groupon ka model, everybody, how many of you know what Groupon's model was? Can somebody tell me what Groupon's model? Groupon was started by Rocket Internet, right? What was the model of Groupon? Can somebody tell me? So they had a coupon based model. So basically what you do, you essentially get a coupon and you put it across in a restaurant somewhere and you will get discounts on top of that. Very simple, like Zomato Gold and stuff like that. But one problem they essentially faced, right? The fundamental problem that they essentially faced was that whenever they took a coupon, now you don't have, you necessarily, if you take a coupon, it doesn't mean that you'll go to the restaurant the very same day. Doesn't work like that, right? So you probably would go to the restaurant at a time when your family would be essentially okay with it, right? But whenever they used to go to a restaurant, what they used to realize was that the restaurant was already booked, the restaurant was already filled, right? They couldn't use it at that point because at that time the capacity of the restaurant was completely filled. So what they essentially did? Nothing. They just opened a Google form, asked the customer, when would you ideally want to use this coupon? Koi development nahi, koi kuch nahi. The moment somebody accesses a coupon, just open a page, ask what is the most ideal time for you to use this coupon, when do you want to use it? They solved the problem 80%. Yes, there will be 20% people who will change plans and stuff like that. So they never spent a dime of money. That's the second great thing which allows a product to survive. The third thing, which is very, very important, was their belief or their ego was highly tied to the product, right? What you need to essentially here understand is that fundamentally, you should not do product management just because it's a cool point on your resume. कि यार आई एम ए प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर, अच्छा लगता है मेरे रेज्यूमे पे, कोई सुनेगा तो बहुत अच्छा लगेगा. Never works like that. The fundamental thesis that you need to understand here is that your ego should be highly tied to the success of the product. Success of the product. Success of the product means success of the user. Whenever I worked in any company, right, I never thought ki it's okay, I am at a great role, I don't really care. I always used to believe my responsibility or my outcomes of salary, wealth, knowledge will be an outcome of my effort that I put if the product is successful, right? So three most important points. One, if you truly want your product to survive, first, you should be unfazed by challenges, however technical or otherwise they are. So you should always try to work with people who are equally driven. So try to join a company where you essentially have conversations with a lot of people, understand how they think about things, right? Second, if a product initially itself is spending a lot of money without any core problem discovery, I'm sorry, it won't work, right? Third, your belief or your ego should be highly tied to the product, saying that it's not a cool point on my resume, it's the only good thing I'm doing right now and I need to make it successful, right? When that will happen, tab aapke paas koi fallback hi nahi hai na. You cannot say ki okay, I'll fall back and I'll go back to some other job. Doesn't work. If you say that there is no fallback here, I would essentially build a product which essentially has to be successful and I will consistently iterate if it doesn't fall under the same lines. Yahan tak clarity hai. Is everybody aligned with me till now? What allows a product to survive in the market? So sabse pehle we will go into the discovery problems. The first question I generally pose product managers whenever they come to me ki Shravan hame ye banana hai, Shravan we want to build this, Shravan we want, I ask them the first question, what problem are you solving? What problem are you solving? Okay, theek hai? So if this is the question, right? Now the first principle that comes here is, if the product manager is not, or the entrepreneur or the founder is not able, can I ask them a sub point, asking them, can you state the problem clearly, right? If a product manager or a founder is not able to state the problem correctly in 2 sentences at max, right? They don't know what problem they're solving. I'm sorry. This is the truth. If you cannot state your problem that you are effectively going to solve in less than 2 statements, I am sorry, you don't know the problem. Right? Like, can somebody tell me what was the problem statement Uber tried to solve? I want answers in the chat. What was the problem statement? Think like a product manager of Uber and say, what problems was I trying to solve? Tell me that. What would be the problem that Uber was trying to solve? The fundamental problem statement was that, can I get almost 100% availability and an economical price for a transportation mechanism? As simple as that. How do I do it? When do I do it? What do I build later? can I get a particular a transportation mechanism where I have 100% availability and an economical price? ये clarity है? Make sense? The second big problem from a discovery perspective that I always feel that customers always have, most product managers उन्होंने खुद ही problem face नहीं की होती है. So if you have you experienced it yourself? How many of you have genuinely experienced, go back 5 years, the cab problem कि cab नहीं मिलती time पे problem? That's the second question I ask from a discovery perspective. कि have you faced the problem yourself? How many of you have faced it yourself? Amazing. So that's the second question. Amazing. Third question that I generally ask is, can you define this problem narrowly? What I mean by that is, one of the another problems I face when product managers do a lot of discovery is that if I ask them, can you define the problem narrowly, right? Tell me about the people who you can address first. They end up saying everybody is our customer. Everybody who wants a cab is our customer, right? That is a very big problem. If you can't define the problem narrowly, that is also a problem. Narrowly का क्या मतलब होता है? Narrowly का मतलब होता है I cannot build a product for everybody in the market. So I have to understand who is the most desperate customer who I need to address first. So let me ask you this question. You are building an Uber Wala app, right? Now you realized you have to launch it in 2 cities. One is Bangalore. Second city is Dharampur in Himachal Pradesh. Where would you launch? Where would you launch? I think the problem there is most people, correct. So most people have to understand that the first set of customers that reach out to you should be effectively very desperate, right? They should say that even if your product is shitty, whatever value that you are giving me to me, right? It is enough for me to use. Right? मैं आपको एक और छोटा सा एग्जांपल देता हूं. How many of you heard of this platform called Twitch? Twitch के बारे में किसने सुना है? Twitch. Do you know how Twitch started? So there was this startup called Justin TV. Justin TV basically क्या करता था? It used to allow creators to stream their videos, like I am streaming my videos, right? Now, what they essentially saw that the Justin TV was actually built for influencers and streaming and stuff like that, right? They realized that over time, over 3-4 years of building Justin TV, they realized 20% of their customers were always gamers. And they never built features for gamers. They never did. But yet they used to come back and say, we have to use it. So what does it tell you? It tells you that the product had enough value that the customers, they knew that features have not been built for them, but they still wanted to use it because they were so desperate in the problem. And they essentially, then the Twitch founders started talking to the gamers and they actually built a $10 billion company just because they understood, right? So the third statement that we have to talk about is, can you define this problem narrowly? Who would be my first set of customers who essentially I want to address? Make sense? Fourth thing is the problem solvable, right? Like, I'll give you another example. So there is this very famous startup called Poppy, which used to happen. ठीक है, तो Poppy का जो founder था, he essentially said that I want to build basically a marketplace for nannies. Nannies समझ तो क्या, babysitters. It's a YC funded startup, right? So they said that we will build a basically app, like for example, how many of you are parents or is married or something, or who has kids in their house? Essentially what they wanted to solve for was that can they build a platform for babysitters, right? Now the problem kya hai wahan pe? The problem is not that they cannot book a babysitter. The problem was that the consumers for which you wanted to solve a problem, right? It was very hard for them to trust someone they didn't know 15 minutes back, right? On the contrary, they actually recommended people who were nannies, जिनका यही काम होता है, right? So they effectively wanted to bring those people on board who have been a background in nannies, right? Now, nanny का behavior तो कभी ऐसा होता ही नहीं है. Nannies are generally in houses for the entire day, so they cannot work as a babysitter. right? But customers will only trust nannies because they have experience in handling children, right? A problem ho gayi na. The user persona, right, which effectively helped you solve the problem, right, does not behave the way you want it to behave, right? Even if you bring other babysitters who don't have experience as nannies, then there's a problem. Customers won't trust you because they don't have that kind of credentials. So the fourth problem that I effectively talk about is that, is the problem even solvable? The second question that I essentially ask most entrepreneurs, the first question क्या था हमारा, हम वापस जाएंगे, what problem are you solving? ठीक है? The second question that I essentially ask customers is, or product managers is, who is your customer? Right? Most people don't have an answer to this. Trust me, they don't have an answer to this. They have zero clarity. Right? Achha, can I give another example of the fourth? So Samruddhi is saying, can I give another example of the fourth point? Okay. Let me give you another very interesting example. How many of you have used this platform called Cars24 or Droom.com or all of these platforms? How many of you have used this? Cars24, Droom, etc. ABCD. किसने यूज किया है? किसने यूज किया है? कभी तो किया ही होगा ना. Bike24 to buy a bike, etc. Whatever it is. Now let me ask this question. आपका प्लेटफॉर्म बहुत ही अच्छा है, तो कैन समबडी टेल मी व्हाई Cars24 और OLX is essentially used? Essentially assume that you built a great product, you built an amazing product, right? And somebody bought a car. Agreed? यहां तक समझ में आई? अब मुझे एक चीज बताओ, when is the next time he is going to come on the platform, he or she is going to come on the platform? तो Mayank is saying 5 years, Nitya is saying 5 years, right? तो मुझे एक चीज बताओ, ये प्रॉब्लम कार खरीदने की है कि एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम फ्रीक्वेंट किसके लिए होती है? कार बेचने वाले के लिए होती है. सो द प्रोडक्ट हैज टू बी मेड फॉर पीपल हु वांट टू सेल कार्स, नॉट बाय कार्स. बाय कार्स तो उसका आउटकम है. बात समझ में आई? सो आई वुड इसेंशियली बिल्ड स्ट्रक्चर्स through which I can make my car lucrative and I could sell it to the users, because there are hundreds of people who want to sell cars every day, but how many people essentially buy a car today and then come back the next month? So effectively तुम्हारा product तो कोई use ही नहीं है उसका, right? So if Cars24 actually built a product, right, for people to essentially buy cars, right, then they're doing a wrong thing. They actually build discovery and features and whatever and whatnot. But actually Cars24 is a platform for people to sell things. Not essentially selling is their primary customer, not essentially purchase. Purchase is an outcome of the primary behavior that they're seeing. yahan tak clarity clear hai? यहां तक बात समझ में आई? Is the problem solvable? कि अगर मैं उस तरह solve करने की कोशिश करता, if I would have tried to redesign the problem the other way around in Cars24, I would have never built a business. Make sense? ये बात clear है? Amazing.